a lot of crazy questions about the wild points changes that happened yesterday, but there's only one question that matters. Where are the boys at? Today, we're going to figure out exactly what's going on with Team Green, and can I just say, I'm so freaking excited to be bringing you Orks content. So we're going to talk about what happened to Team Green and how they're doing and what I'm going to be thinking about as I'm going to potentially be bringing Team Green to the World Championships. Let's talk about the Orks. All right, so basically what happened, we had massive sweeping points changes for the Orks. Snags down by 10, Beat Boys down by 5, Big Mech down by 10, Big Mech and Mega Armor down by 10, Shock Attack Gun down by 10, Def Dread down by 10, Gopters down by 10, Meganobs down by 5, Gorkanok, Hunter Rig, Kill Rig all down by 15, Commandos, Morganaut down by 15, and the Tank Busters, which no one cares about at all, down by 20. So there were sweeping points changes, but that is actually not all there were. There's a lot of effects that happen to the Orks that a lot of people aren't really considering yet. And that's what we're really going to be breaking down today. So we're going to be talking about how this is going to influence our list building and how we're going to start actually increasing the Orks win rate from 42% all the way up to that prestigious 50%. Well, realistically, we want it 51. Come on, boys. We want it 51%. So let's give it a whirl. So what else basically happened that is really, really good for the Orks? And trust me, there's some stuff that are really, really good for the Orks. Well, T-Suns got a very significant points nerf. One of the things that T-Suns had as the advantage over literally everyone else in the game is that T-Suns can basically get whatever angle they want, and they can kill whatever unit they want whenever they want. Well, Orks just got so many points reductions that we probably netted an entire extra unit, and T-Suns 100% lost an entire extra unit. This really starts to beg into the question, can T-Suns really kill Orks anymore? I'm not sure what the answer is. Now, I know T-Suns are not dead. People are going to be saying T-Suns are dead. They're all wrong. T-Suns are still a very strong army, and they're still going to be quite good. But I'm not sure they're going to be able to handle the just sheer amount of units that Orks are going to be popping on the tables now. All right, Sisters, they got significant nerfs, especially in all of their tank units. So their Castigators went up, their Immolators went up, their freaking Triumph of St. Catherine went up by 60 points. I don't know if she deserved a 60-point nerf, but she certainly deserved a nerf, so I don't really feel bad for them on that one. But anyway, Sisters, they got some serious points nerf. Morven Vol and the Paragon Warsuits got nerfed. I honestly seriously doubt we're going to be seeing much of Morven Vol, going forth for the foreseeable future. So they're going to be down on the amount of units to field. Of course, now that they're probably dropping Morven Vol and the Paragon Warsuits, that's going to help offset some of the points nerfs. Are Sisters really going to be handled the Ork Tide? I don't know, man. They certainly have a lot of flamers. They've got the ability to have some brutal overwatches, especially with the +1 strength and everything. That becomes a problem for the Orks. But I don't. Sisters definitely got weaker. That's what we can say. Orks get all of our WA abilities fixed. Thank goodness, GW, they actually fixed this problem. And this is one of the hilarious things, is every time GW says, oh, we're only doing a points fixed, they do other fixes as well. Or every time they say, we're only doing a rule 6, they fix some points as well. Do not believe anyone when they tell you, oh, no, this update is only points, or this update is only rules, because GW has proved time and time again this edition that they're always going to be fixing both. Now, yes, the focus for this balance was on the points and not necessarily on the rules, but that doesn't mean there weren't rules fixes. So Orks got all of our WA abilities fixed. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, previously, your Ork Warboss who gets +4 attacks during the WA, it used to be he would only get those attacks if he was on the board when you called the WA. So if he was in a transport when you called the WA, he wouldn't get those bonus attacks, which was stupid and was not the way it was intended, but it was the way the rules worked. So GW fixed the wording on this. So now you will always get your attacks, because now the wording for those abilities is while the WA is active. So as long as the WA is active, you do get your bonus attacks. You do get your bonus damage for the Warboss and Mega Armor, Makari's Lethal Aura, all of these things. Now, the next one. So ACDC was nerfed for CSM. This is actually a really big deal because ACDC was fast as heck, and they hit unreasonably hard. So it doesn't mean that we won't still see ACDC, because honestly, it's still very playable. It was just ludicrously undercosted previously. I've got a buddy. He is a friend. He's a great human being, but he's kind of a dick for this move. So he's playing in a local escalation league, and he ran triple ACDC at the 750 points limit for for the local escalation league. That was that was worthy of a penis slap. He did it to kind of prove a point how silly those units were. So it's a good thing they went up in points. They're still usable, and you're honestly, I think people are crazy if they don't still run some form of the ACDC. You're still going to see it. And some of the other CSM went down. But so basically CSM is still very viable because only the broken thing got nerfed and everything else got better. So I would say CSM came out highly, very ahead on this. But one of the big threats to Orks was certainly nerfed. World Eaters, just because of the points, they lost an entire unit. So now we have a increased game plan into T-Sons, Sisters, which were two of the best armies in the game. We have a probably increased game plan into CSM because their unit that was causing us the most problem got pretty nerfed. We have definitely a much greater chance against World Eaters because they lost an entire unit. Then we have Dark Angels, so that's 4. That's 4. Then we have Dark Angels Gladius got heavily punched in the nose. 1 with a Gladius detachments nerf, and then 2 with the fact that your Deathwing Knights all went up by 25 points, and Azrael went up by 15 points. So that list got heavily nerfed. So that's 5. And then the Black Tide Templars get heavily nerfed. So we're looking at, that's 6. So that is 6 crazy changes that happened to other factions that were all super ahead of Orks that got brought down a notch, while Orks went up a notch. So guys, the Orks have the opportunity here. Now, there's even yet another huge change that is really going to be helping the Orks. And this is one that a lot of people might not be thinking about. So listen in for some secret intel. Secret missions have been nerfed. So now, currently in Pariah Nexus, you can no longer score primary in the 5th round if you took a secret mission. So no longer can Hypercrypt Necrons just choose to not play the game and then in turn 5 deep strike onto the single supply drop objective and score 35 points for getting their secret mission and then getting 15 points for primary there. So they can't do it anymore. So now you can't score primary anymore in round 5 if you're taking a secret mission, which fixes secret missions. Because what that does is it forces these armies to actually engage and play for the early game points, which is all we really needed. Secret mission is still alive and it's still a good option, but it's no longer busted broken, which is really, really exciting. And that's actually a very good thing for the Orks, because the Orks tend to peter out in rounds 4 and 5. So you try to get all your points early, which makes it much harder for opponents who wanted all of their points in the last turn to catch up to you. So all these are just incredible changes for Team Green. Now, let's break down all these point changes individually and what it means for what units you are going to be taking and what units maybe you're not taking. And guys, can I just I'm just going to say this one more time. I'm so freaking excited to be building Ork content again. Thank you, GW, for giving me a reason to do it. All right, so boys went down by 5, which is crazy. So boys are now 80 instead of 85. That's awesome. It's not earth-shattering or anything, but it's just nice because we're going to take boys, and now we're really encouraged to take boys. Snaggers went down by 10, which kind of blows my mind because Snaggers were already pretty fairly cost at 105. So at 95, they are value. That doesn't mean they're insane value, but they are definitely value, and you're going to be running them. As a matter of fact, I have changed my Warhorde list to definitely be including 2 units of Snaggers with beast bosses instead of just the original 1 that I had. Meganovs back down to 35. Now, I would say I figured they were going to put Meganovs all the way back down to 30 now that they go to the 5 at Field of Pain instead of the 4 up. But at 35, they're probably still playable. I think they're still a little too expensive, but they're definitely still playable. What this does is it absolutely re-enables Bully Boys. So if you guys were a Bully Boy enthusiast, Bully Boys are now enabled again. They're playable again. It actually does make a pretty big difference, which I think is great. Now, Commandos. This is one... All right, so Commandos went down by 15 points, all the way down to 120. The problem is that it's not necessarily the point cost of Commandos. It's the unit size. If we could take Commandos in 5-man units, Commandos would be awesome. Forcing us to take them in 10-man units and pay the 120 for 1 unit that is just going to die instantly, it's a problem, man. I'm not saying they're unusable, and I need some experience with them, so I need to try them out and actually see how they operate on the table a little bit before I really make my decision about them. But basically, overall, all the points drops on our infantry is ludicrous and amazing, and it's really, really good. Some of our armies are going to drop by 50, 60 points just from the infantry cuts alone, which is pretty freaking great. Now, let's talk about the characters. All right, so we have 3 characters that got pretty significant points buffs. They all went down by 10 points. You have the Big Mech, the Big Mech in Mega Armor, and the Shock Attack Gun. Big Mech. So, Big Mechs are down. Anyway, basically what this means is now I'm much more likely to be running a Mega Armor mech with my Mega Knobs in Bully, because now they're going to get that sweet 4-up invulnerable, which is awesome because effectively you can have 2 units that are going to be able to save on 4-ups against your AP3 guns, which is great because you're going to have one, they're going to be using the Armor Contempt, you'll probably have cover, and then the other one is just going to have the invulnerable save from the Big Mech. And you're also going to be resurrecting a Mega Knob return. which means it's better value. So dropping him by 10 points was actually a really, really nice thing. So I am pretty confident that I'm going to want to be running that, which is really, really exciting. Now, shock attack guns going down in points is pretty darn interesting. And let me tell you my just initial thought on what I want to do with shock attack guns, Mega Mechs. I want to run 3 of them, because 195 points for 3 of those guns that are potentially just going to be spamming out battle shocks is pretty exciting. I have a dream, and it's not a dream that's going to be realized yet, but I have a dream where I run 3 of these and 3 Death Dreads, and I'm just going to force everything in my opponent's army every turn just to take battle shocks constantly. Because I love battle shock as a mechanism. I think it's really, really strong, and I think it's one of the most overlooked aspects of the current game. But so for 65 points for shock attack gun, that is really nice, and I definitely think you're going to be seeing them all over the place in Dread Mob specifically. Now, the Big Mech. Now, here's the deal. I don't like the Big Mech. I don't really think he is that good, but I do know other players have been using him to really good success. So if we take Brian Sipey, and maybe I can chat with him about this because he's a buddy. I think he ended up in second at LGT, which was just amazing, and congratulations to him. And he was running Big Mechs with the 20-man boys squads. Now, basically what that does is it means that you more or less can't be move blocked, which is pretty dang nice, to be fair. So I'm not necessarily sold on the Big Mech's functionality, but going down in points and seeing that it's already been a proven thing that can work makes me want to consider him. So I think it's worth considering, even though I'm not necessarily initially a fan. All right, let's talk about some of the vehicles. All right, first off, you guys know where I'm at. This is the age of the Copta. Like, how the heck does GW look at the amazing data sheet that is the Death Copta and say, you know what? It needs to go down in points. 30 points per Death Copta is just a unbelievable value. Like, it's unbelievable the value of this. You get 3 guys that are all T6 with a 4-up armor save. They all have D3 shots that are a blast, that are twin-linked rockets, strength 9, AP2, damage 3. They get grenades, they get flyover mortals, they can tank shock when they charge in, which is not a great tank shock, but they can do it. These guys will clear any melee chaff in melee. Holy crap. For 90 points, if you're not running Death Coptas, I don't know what they got to do to tell you, take Death Coptas, because they're freaking good. I've got an entire video dedicated to Death Coptas. You guys can go check that out at another point in time. But man, Death Coptas is good. Then we have the Gorkanaut. Went down by 15 points, and so did the Morkanaut. I don't think we ever really see these outside of Dread Mob, but for Dread Mob specifically, holy crap, Dread Mob's happy, man. Shock attack gun went down. Gorkanaut, Morkanaut went down, actually significantly. So Dread Mob just straight up gets a whole new unit from all these points cuts. The Death Dread. Let's talk about the Death Dread. I love the Death Dread. I'm a huge fan of him, but I haven't been able to run him in 10th because he's been stuck at that 130 points limit the entire time, and he is just not worth 130 points. Now, he's at 120. Is he worth 120? My gut feeling says no. My gut feeling says that this is a 105-point model. I think it's worth experimenting with at 120. I am interested in experimenting and seeing what he can accomplish at 120, though. So I think I'm ready to just start playing around with him. And maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe I'm just being a little too stingy with points, and 120 is the right spot. So you can run this bad boy in a multitude of detachments, but he's basically going to be best in both Dread Mob and Warhorde. Warhorde for the explosions, of course, and then Dread Mob because all the strats would apply to him. You can make him -1 damage with his 2-up armor save. Makes him into a mini Dreadnought Redemptor, which is pretty dang cool, to be fair. So Death Dread is interesting at 120. I do think he probably still needs to go down a little bit more, but now he's actually fieldable, which is cool. Yeah, so there you go, guys. Dread Mobs are just thrilled about all of these, and Death Coptas are just a ludicrous value that's going to go in any detachment. Heck, even in Speed Freaks, like Speed Freaks, Cult of Speed is just an awful detachment. It's just really, really bad. But when you look at how cheap your Death Coptas are now, you can run 18 of these bad boys for 540 points. That's tempting, man. That's honestly fairly tempting. It's not good, but it's tempting. All right, let's talk a little bit more, and we're going to wrap up pretty quick. So the rigs. All right, guys. I hate the rigs. I think the rigs rules suck, but we are getting into ludicrous points value where you just start taking them, because Hunter rig at 135 and Kill rig at 155 is where I'm starting to look at them. I still think that they just need to make the Kill rig psychic ability an aura of lethal hits. If they do that, the Kill rig's actually good. Or they just need to give him assault with his freaking war tower. Just give him the assault keyword on his war tower, and then he's freaking good. Hunter Rig at 135, man. Holy crap, dude. Like, I think I'm taking it. And all right. Do we take 6 rigs? Obviously not in WTC, but if we're on GW terrain, do we just take 6 rigs? And do we just like say screw it, let's ball? Because 6 rigs could and honestly, man, there could be actual play if you just run 6 rigs. It's shockingly affordable. All the beast snagas went down in cost. Like, is that something that we could conceivably do? I don't know, man. It seems like an option. Anyway, let's look at the unit that no one gives a crap about. Tank busters went down by 20. They're still completely useless, and they're the worst models in the range. You're never going to take them. However, perhaps soon, these Rekka mobs, these Rekka boys, or the Rekka crew, which is being released for a kill team, is going to be getting 40k rules. And if that's the case, boy, howdy, am I going to be taking that model, because that model is sexy, and I don't even care if it's good. All right, so what are the lists that I'm going to be looking at? Here's the list that I'm thinking. I'm honestly thinking about the 6 rigs list. I'm actually very serious about that. I don't know if it's a meme or if it's genius. I'm going to put it on the table, and I'm going to freaking try it. Then we can look at Bully Boys. I would probably be running 15 megas, 2x5 knobs, 1x10 knobs, and 2x10 boys. I'm probably going to be running a war boss with the 10-man knobs, and then my two war bosses with the boys, and then I'm going to be running pain boys with the 5-man knobs. That's probably just roughly where I'm going to be, because you need to spread out so that everyone gets the double wah, and everyone's going to be able to proc like all of your stratagems. So you're going to need all of the ability to use the stratagems. So the strats are locked to knobs, mega knobs, which is pretty annoying. Dread Mob. So if you're running Dread Mob, dude, you're just happy because you're taking probably the same list, but you're getting an extra unit because there were crazy points cuts. And then honestly, if I'm running Warhorde, I might just stay the course and add Kaptas because I got enough points cuts to just drop a unit of Kaptas in, which is absolutely wild. So yeah, guys, Orks are looking good. Here's some final thoughts. Let's think about this. Orks are looking much better. I'm happy. I'm excited about them. They are not broken. Before anyone starts whining and complaining, if you want to whine and complain in the chat section, please do, because I like arguing with you guys. It's fun. But they're not freaking broken. They still have a ton of problems. They still have keywords that are missing. Like, I would have loved to have seen them actually fix the keyword for the flash kits. Why don't flash kits have the knob keyword when they're literally knobs? I don't know. You've got, why doesn't Zodgrod Wart Snaga have a beast snaga keyword? Like, why don't they fix the keywords on the big hunt? You got to be careful how you say that. Detachment rolls. Like, we need to fix all these keywords. You want to see the Wobby at the start of the turn, not the battle round. So there's still a lot of problems with the Orks, which means that they're not going to be busted, and they're not going to be running train on everyone. Now, if you see Orks come out and have a huge successful first weekend of the new points, chill, calm down. It doesn't prove anything. It just means that some of the good players are going back to trying the Orks because we see actual potential in them. I fully expect that after a month, 2-3 months, we're going to see Orks roughly about that 50% win rate. We might be hovering anywhere between around the 48%, but we're going to be much closer because all these are actually pretty dang good changes. Now, I've got one more thing that I wanted to ponder, and I'm going to leave you this to chew upon. With all of these points drops, is Gaz actually necessary if we're taking, like, say, a standard Warhorde list? I don't know the answer to that. Now, this is not me saying Gaz isn't good. Gaz is good, right? But when you take Gaz, you have to take 2 Meganauts, which is 235 plus 70, so that's a 305 point unit. And for the cost of that, you can get 2 kill rigs now, which is 2d3 auto-hitting las cannons. It's your transports. Do we just drop Gaz and then add in just more freaking units that our opponents can't deal with? I don't know the answer to it. I'm going to be experimenting with it. I think I'm doing a live stream tonight. I want to hear your thoughts. Put your thoughts down in the chat below. Is Gaz necessary? I don't know the answer to it, but I'm really freaking excited to find out. Guys, I'm pumped up about Team Green. I got more Ork content. I'm able to build it again. Yes! Happy Corrupt and Wargaming is excited to bring the Orks back. I can't wait to run them on stream for you guys. And with that, I'm going to dip out for the day. And have a good one. Crump on. Cheers.